I'm Dr. Andre Camelli. I'm here to talk a little bit about how I promote grass-fed products to my patients. We do health and wellness and longevity, and our longevity studies that we've done with a lot of our patients started 20 years ago. And 20 years ago we had a lot of patients that were coming in and they're in their 50s, and now they're in their 70s. So typically people are supposed to degenerate as they age. They call that normal aging. In our patient population, we've seen people 20 years down the road actually younger, leaner, healthier, and on less medications. So this is a big deal because with aging, it has to do with genetics. We talk about this in my book. It's a best-selling book, Cracking the Code. We talk about how the genes are basically completely like light switches. The genes could be in an off position, or the genes could be clicked into an on position, depending on what we do, what our choices are. So we have choices that are turning disease off, and then we have choices that we can do that will turn disease on. And what we eat is one of the strongest predictors on what we have as far as genetic expression. Now, when I did my pre-med back in the early 90s, the genetics were what you get from mom and dad is what you're stuck with. So that has been disproven. So what you get from mom and dad, if you do the same bad habits mom and dad did, then yes, you can express the same diseases as mom and dad. So they're saying now that these genes, they all sit dormant and they are completely dependent on three things. Number one, what we eat and how much toxicity is associated with that. Number two, what we think about, mental and emotional stress. And number three is whether or not we move, if we're sedentary or not. So those are the three things that can turn off disease and turn on longevity. And we've done that successfully in our patients. So one of the first things that we do with patients is we talk to them about what they're eating. And most patients are eating genetically modified foods. And genetically modified foods also includes the animals that they're eating that are eating genetically modified foods. As most people know, genetically modified foods come from corn and soy being the highest GMO foods and the most toxic GMO foods. They're also the most inflammatory GMO foods. They are withstanding a serious chemical called glyphosate. Glyphosate's better known as Roundup. And these things have been genetically modified so much that you can spray the chemicals on there and the plant will actually survive. But yet they say it's safe for us to ingest. And what we're looking at is that within about 30 minutes of eating GMO foods that have Roundup in it, we actually see our gut, the lining of our gut, start to get so inflamed that it dilates and it becomes leaky. And this is known as leaky gut. And again, the cells in our gut, they should be nice and tightly sealed. They should only let finely digested nutrition through there. When it dilates and gets swollen and inflamed from these chemicals, we then allow pathogens. We allow bacteria, viruses, parasite, even undigested food particles to get into our bloodstream, which causes our immune system to mount attack because those things are not supposed to be in our bloodstream. They're supposed to stay inside our digestive tract. When they get in the bloodstream, they become foreign. When they become foreign, your body mounts an immune system attack. When you mount an immune system attack, you get more pain, more brain fog, less energy, more inflammation, crappier sleep. And this is most people coming into me, they aren't coming in for, a stiff neck or a bad back. They're coming in because they have autoimmune issues, they have chronic fatigue syndrome, they're sick and they want to get off of the medications because medications typically have side effects, and medically they treat side effects with more medications, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So first things first, we have people transition from grain-fed animals to grass-fed animals. So grass-fed beef is one of the healthiest choices because it has a much higher antioxidant content and it has a much higher omega-3 fatty acid content. Okay, omega-6 and omega-9 is very high if you're feeding that animal grains like corn and soy. Omega-6 and omega-9 are highly, highly inflammatory. Again, it's going to promote further inflammation, and the chemicals on those grains will promote the leaky gut that we talked about and all the brain degeneration that we're seeing nowadays. So first things first, switch over to grass-fed animals, okay? And thank goodness for Heritage Meats that you guys are providing this, because you're getting it from a high quality source, and that's hard to find.